What's the deal with this $1,000 Trump account? Can you trade in your coffee for a new house? And should you be touching Jeremy in the airport? Yes, you should. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Personal Finance Club show. Hey, Jen.
What's up, Jer?
Well, I should say Merry Christmas, Jen, because today, as you know, today is Christmas.
Woo! Merry Christmas. That's next week. Happy New Year. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. What else?
I'm half
Happy
Jewish.
Festivus.
Got them all. Yeah,
You're a Seinfeld fan?
we record these ahead of time, of course, so it's not actually Christmas as we're saying this, but Christmas is on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And Christmas is always the same day as New Year's Day, which will be on a Thursday. And Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday. And so on our first kind of year of podcasts here, all of our episodes are dropping right on the day of these huge end-of-year holidays. And so if you're listening to this on Christmas morning, like you woke up excited for Christmas morning, you ran downstairs and opened up your podcast app and listened to the Personal Finance Club show, please send us a DM or an email, podcasts@personalfinanceclub.com, because you are a super fan and probably, frankly, need to realign your priorities a little bit. You should
a couple of things about what you just said. Number one, the fact that people are not absolutely sleeping by their phones. That they would have to run downstairs.
You have to run downstairs and turn on. Don't you listen to one of those big radios that's like the size of a mini fridge, and you have to tune in? Isn't that what we're doing right now? Okay.
Open up your podcast app. You made it seem like it was like a gift that they're unwrapping with a bow.
Yeah.
And not
maybe
just,
I misunderstand
swiping.
The technology here.
Yeah, I thought you were a little more tech savvy than this, but
you like punch in the code, and then the big doors open. It's like glowing inside, and then you access the podcast. I don't know.
What? You lost me completely.
That's not how you listen to podcasts? Okay. I guess my app is superior. Anyway, Merry Christmas and all the other holidays to everyone. And thanks for listening. And hopefully you listen to this maybe on the 26th or something, and, doing something more fun on Christmas. Who knows?
Listen, you might need a reprieve from that family. So go ahead and lock yourself in the bathroom and listen to 45 minutes of me and Jeremy.
I spent many years trying to be out of the country on Christmas Day just because I didn't want to
Wow, you sound like my brother who just confirmed that he's coming home for Christmas. And we were like, all right, see you then. So
nice.
I'm like, it's something about, I don't know what it is with boys. They just don't want to be coming home, but
When I was single, it was just too depressing. It's just here's another reminder that you're a failure at life one more year.
Oh my God. Made it make me feel great about dating in LA.
Oh,
we'll save that for another episode.
It's a disaster. Hey, but you can just do what I do and get married when you're 44. You got plenty of time.
I do have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Should we get into our first segment?
Let's do it.
Explain It Like I'm 5. Okay. So today's Explain It Like I'm 5 is a hybrid. Can I ask a dumb one? We have a question from Murray in Utah. So Murray asks, and I picked this one because I knew we were going to talk about it anyway. What are your thoughts on the new kid investments plan Trump announced? So this is I'll let you talk about it because you're going to break it down for us.
Okay, so in the last episode, I made a promise to you, our loyal Christmas morning listener, who said, hey, the kids can wait to open their presents. I got to hear the entire Personal Finance Club show first. So I made a promise to you. I'm going to stick to it. The promise is I'm going to make an analogy. And how do you make an analogy about a nuanced tax advantage investment account? I don't know, but I'm going to try. So here it is. Basically, the U.S., the government, doesn't want a bunch of broke old people. That's not good to see old, poor people on the streets. And it's not good for the people. It's not good for society. And so what they decided to do was to give each baby a little money seed. And you plant the money seed into the dirt, and then it grows. And it grows a magical money tree. But the rule is you can't cut down the tree or eat its fruit until you, baby, I'm talking to you if you're a baby listening, you, baby, are 60 years old or 59 and a half years old.
Oh, baby, you know that song? No, you don't.
You got what I need.
Yes!
See, I'm hip. I know a song.
Okay. Wow, I was not expecting that. Okay.
So, yeah, mostly an oldies guy. I think my Spotify rap said I was 78 or something like that, which I
Hilarious.
found offensive. But Anyway, so that's the analogy. It's basically saying, hey, we're going to give you a little bit of money now. You plant it. You're not allowed to touch it. You have to wait till it grows into a mighty tree when you're old, and then you can like eat the fruit and cut it down and use the wood and live off of it, right? Or I guess if it's a money tree, you're going to take the money off and go buy things with it. So that's the analogy. And but to be fair, that's kind of like the analogy for all investing. And so what's the specifics of this account? First of all, it was established under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. I'm rolling my eyes because I'm just so annoyed with the state of the world these days, but which was signed into law this year, 2025. And you can't even make your first contribution to this account until July 4th of 2026, assuming it comes to fruition and with the state of the world these days, I'm not banking on anything that the government really says. Okay, so that said,
why is that, Jeremy? No, I'm just kidding. Don't get into it.
We're not going to get that. Not on Christmas, Jen. This
not
is
on
the
Christmas.
one day we bring family together. We'll talk about, really divisive things on the New Year's episode. Don't say it. Whatever example you're going to give, we're about to get hate mail. I'll just say whatever the other side hates. That's what I hate. Anyway, okay, so you can't make your first contribution until July 4th, 2026, which means we don't even have one of these things yet. So it's really hard to know exactly how it's going to look. In fact, we don't even know where you open these accounts. Will they allow Fidelity to have these accounts, or do you have to go to like the U.S. Treasury website? It's not clear yet. Okay, but here's the basic rules as we understand them. First of all, the only people who are eligible are children who are 17 or younger for the whole calendar year. So the year you turn 18, you're no longer eligible to contribute to one of these accounts. Contributions, like deposits in this account, are limited to $5,000 per year. So basically, it's like an account, think like Roth IRA or 401k, but just for kids, you can put money in, only $5,000 a year. Also, the government has agreed to give $1,000 to all U.S. citizens with a social security number, babies born between January 1st, 2025, that's backdated to the beginning of this year, through December 31st, 2028. So if you have a kid,
Ty.
Yeah, shout out to my own child, Ty, short for Tylenol, which was a much better name before.
God. People are going to start believing you.
Before all that Tylenol drama came. Just kidding. It's not short for anything. It's long for T, though.
Stupid.
We're going to make him, just call him T, but we're like, let's stretch it all a bit. Let's make it a 2-letter name. Okay, so anyway, if you're born 25, 26, 27, 28, those 4 years you have a baby, you're going to get a $1,000 grant. That's like the money seed I was talking about. That's the seed. That's the beginning amount of money. Contributions that you put in, like let's say you put in $1,000, you got $1,000 in there. Any more money you put in is an after-tax contribution. And so you don't get a tax break for putting money in like you do with a traditional IRA or with a traditional 401k. So these are after-tax contributions. And that's like a Roth IRA. No withdrawals at all are allowed before you're 18. And then at 18, it basically has to be converted to an IRA to continue it. And so you convert it to a traditional IRA.
Now, is this on like the White House website? Where did you find this information? Is this official?
There's an IRS website, and then there's a bunch of articles, and I did my best to summarize this for you, our Christmas morning listeners.
You're killing it. Okay, continue.
Yeah. And so far you might be thinking, okay, this sounds like a Roth IRA. You put money in after tax, plus a $1,000 bonus, great, and then it grows and you get to take it out tax-free. But no, wait, that's not how this works. On withdrawals, anything you put in after tax, you can take out. So like, let's say you contributed $5,000 and it grows to $8,000. You can take out that $5,000 tax-free because you've already been taxed on that, like you always can, right? That's how it works with a brokerage account. That's how it works with the Roth IRA. But then the growth, any of the growth, you have to pay ordinary income tax on, which is kind of crazy to me. And the reason that's crazy is because when you contribute to a regular brokerage account with no tax advantage, you don't pay income tax on the gain, you pay capital gains tax on the gain. And so this account is basically giving worse tax treatment to the gains than a non-tax advantage account. And it, at least to me, muddies the water in as to like, is this even a good idea at all? Like, wouldn't you be better off just putting it to a custodial brokerage account? I recently posted about that on Instagram where you can basically just put money into an account in your child's name. You manage it until you're 18. That's called an UGMA or an UTMA. Anyway.
Speaking of Ty, you definitely pimped him out for that post.
That's right. I know. My wife said that I could use photos of the children until they're 1 year old, and then no more kids on social media, which I also agree with. I'm not trying to say that
Yeah,
my
we're
wife
getting
is.
there. Wasn't he born
Yeah,
in February?
yeah. He's gonna
Cutoff's
turn
coming.
10 months old in
He's
2 days.
starting to look like you, so it's probably time.
Yeah. People tell me he looks like me all the time, and the next time a stranger tells me that, I'm gonna say, "Oh, he's not mine," just because I really like, for some reason, making
What the
strangers.
hell?
Exactly.
That's so
Because how do you
weird.
respond to that? Like, did you steal this baby that looks
I would
exactly
feel
like you?
so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A man with a baby. I would just be like, I
Oh,
don't trust you.
he's not mine. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have some phone calls made on me.
Yeah, CPS coming to your door.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what this account is. You put money in after tax. It grows tax free. They don't tax you along the way like on dividends and stuff like they do in a brokerage account. But then when you withdraw any of the gains, you pay ordinary income tax at the child's tax rate. And so here's like the little hack that I think people might be using on these, which is you do it until they're 18, and then at 18 you convert it to a traditional IRA, and then you immediately convert it, or I guess you would roll it over to a traditional IRA, and then you immediately convert it to a Roth IRA. And so basically, you do pay the tax on those gains as income, but 18-year-olds generally have little to no income because they're like in high school or freshman in college or whatever.
Right.
And maybe there's only 10 grand or 15 grand of gains at all in there. And if so, you would pay zero tax on that conversion. And so basically, you could use this as a way, as kind of like I promise you, if no one's done this yet, they're going to. They're going to call it like the Trump backdoor Roth IRA, because anything with the word backdoor in it, people think they're like getting away with something. And so you can basically fill it up during their childhood and then immediately convert it to a Roth IRA when they're 18, thus having it all have tax-free withdrawals growing indefinitely. And then you only pay the tax on the gains at the very low young adults income tax rate. Man,
how many things could change before that happens?
All of it. This is probably, yeah.
It's like the student loan forgiveness thing where it's like, you should not be banking on that because so many things could change, so many administrations, so many laws. Like, come on. Like, even the fact that you would be banking on this, which in theory is like this amazing thing that they're even putting $1,000, like $1,000 is not nothing. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to investment. But like, I just feel like the amount of things that could change between now and then for the first batch of kids that would be able to actually, quote unquote, cash out on this is crazy.
I agree. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen in the future, and could future Congresses retract this? Usually once you give, American citizens a benefit, it's much harder to like claw it out of their hands because it just becomes insanely politically unpopular, as does reducing Social Security or taking away your 401k or whatever it is.
Right.
But that said, it hasn't even been implemented yet, right? You can't, the first contributions aren't even allowed until July 4th, 2026. And so
interesting
I feel
date.
like, yeah, right. I mean, it's for the big, beautiful bill. It might as well be on 4th of July. Okay. But I'm going to end this with saying, you kind of just said $1,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So I'm going to ask you a question. So $1,000.
I hate when you ask me questions.
I know, and I knew you're going to hate this, and I put it on there, and I was going to put you on the spot because they're impossible to answer, so you can't feel bad because no one knows the answer.
Yeah, but I feel like anyway. Go ahead, let's try.
But put your money seed in, your $1,000 money seed. It grows to a tree, and let's say it grows for 60 years, so that the child waits until they're 60 years old, and let's say they get a 7% annualized return. That's about the after inflation historical average growth of the stock market. So the question is, what will $1,000 be worth in 60 years, invested 7% for 60 years compounded? What's your guess?
I feel like I should be able to get close, and I'm not going to get close. What will $1,000 be worth with 7% interest on it, basically, over 60 years?
Yep.
I don't know, Jeremy.
Give me a guess. Even if you're off by a few zeros, it's just interesting to see what your guess is. Trust me.
$1,000 in 60 years. Okay. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Well, guess. I want you to guess, then I'll explain it.
All right. I'll say 20,000.
That's really close. 58,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you had the right number of digits. That's like on these types of questions. That's like really good. Yeah. So 58,000. So it's significant. Like I don't know anyone of my friends who would take $58,000 for granted. But also, this isn't like we're gonna have a bunch of automatic millionaires when they're 60. It's just kind of like a seed. For
Well,
what is yeah, go ahead.
My thought was like what made me upset when listening, everybody's talking about this, right? Which is why I brought it to the pod. Is like the idea of it is actually really amazing because there's so many families, specifically in America, who would never have the opportunity to let $1,000 grow over 18 years and to make it, like you said, if it's true, 58,000, that's huge. That somebody's college education, that's the car, that's a down payment. Like it's so many things that like a lot of families would never be able to afford. So I want to love it and I want it to be something that's in good faith, but I know that it's not. And and not only do I know that it's not, but like I said, I don't feel like this is going to be the case when this first batch of 1-year-olds, 0-year-olds make it to 18 and are able to actually like use this.
Yeah. I'm with you. Actually, Social Security is not like this. Social Security is the young people today who are working, their money is instantly getting paid to the old people who need money. And the reason that is because back when it was introduced, I think in like the 30s or whatever, they're like, our old people are like starving on the streets today. Hey, young people, you all pay, you give them your money. And then when you're old, the young people will, which like, kind of was like this Band-Aid to solve the problem back then. But then you have this like kick the can down the road situation where it might, the day young people stop paying in, the old people are like, wait a minute, I paid it. How come I don't get my money? And that's kind of like at risk of happening now because the baby boomers, which are like people like, probably our parents' age. I don't know how old your parents are, but like my parents
My dad's
like,
70, my mom's 65.
Okay. So yeah, my parents are 75 and 72 or something.
Yeah.
I should know this. Yeah. 73, I think. So a little bit older, but they're all kind of in that baby boomer, area, and so now there's like potentially more old people than there are young people, and now the system doesn't work because back then it was like, oh great, 3 young people are paying into 1 old person, like how amazing. Now it's like one, I'm exaggerating the numbers, but like 1 young person paying into 3 old person doesn't work, right? So
right.
It is kind of almost like a Ponzi scheme to some degree because it's depending on this new influx of cash to pay out the old investors. That's what a Ponzi scheme is. This was not meant to be. This explained like F5 has turned into a Social Security rant. But and for what it's worth,
and
like
how
I think
many older people are like they're scraping by on Social Security. I mean, you talk about all the time where it's like they still have to work at Walmart as greeters. They still have to like have supplemental income or somebody helping them. They can't afford like exorbitant things like home health care or like nursing. Like that's not even scratching the surface. So it's like, what really is the point if you can't actually take care of yourself when you're elderly?
Right. So exactly, your $1,200 a month Social Security check, if you're choosing between paying for your medicine and eating cat food, like life ain't that great, So all that said, I actually agree with you. I like something that looks like this better. And the government has a really good investment program called a TSP, which they give to, military and government workers. And I think that's like actually been implemented extraordinarily well. And I really like this. I feel like it's kind of going towards that. And, I think you make a good point. Hey, I'll believe it when I see it. It feels maybe like it's not in good faith or not in fruition, or it's not going to come to fruition. But I kind of like it in concept too. And I think that we should be doing more of this and less of Social Security. And, we should have started it in the 30s, but no time like, best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is today. And so maybe it's going to work. And I hope it does, because I think that, and I don't even really like how it's implemented. I think it should all be Roth. I think, the fact that they're charging you ordinary income on the gains is kind of weird. So maybe they can fix that too. But I, like you said, giving people like a start at an investment when that wouldn't have even been in their world otherwise, either through their inability to access it or their inability to save or whatever it is, giving, starting people on the right foot like that could really be transformative for some families. And so I hope it works.
Amen. Okay, go baste your Christmas ham as we get into our next segment. Money. Can I ask a dumb one? Okay,
nice pause, Jen.
Thank you. I'm trying.
We talked before the show how about you have to pause between our next segment, music, then the segment name, and our editor Sahil, shout out Sahil, has been trying to squeeze it in, and so he's like, Jen, you gotta pause.
because I'm talking a million miles a minute. Okay, I want to say one thing before we get into this episode that Jeremy doesn't know yet is that we had a high school class that had their assignment was to ask a question into the podcast, and if they ask a question, they'll get 100% on their next test. Now,
What?
I know it's really crazy. So shout out Mr. I'm gonna want to get this right, Mr. Coucher, and is at Chalmont High School. Now, the only thing I want to say, we're not asking a question from one of these kids today. The reason why is because they don't probably realize that we batch our episodes. And by the time they get to this, like the class, they probably won't even take in class next semester. I don't know. I guess high school, you take it the whole year. But basically, they're not going to get their question answered. They said on the next episode, then they'd get 100%, which I like. Thank you, Mr. Coucher, for listening and for implementing this assignment. However, I feel like you're going to have to use it for like next semester because we're not going to hear this until Christmas Day, as you know.
Wait, do they only get the 100% if their question is answered on the air?
Yeah, and we have to ask it and answer it on the air.
Oh my! Well, he's putting. So now we have to be the decider of who gets the 100%. That's like a lot of pressure.
If we were doing this like weekly within like 3 days, I would absolutely try and squeeze a question from that class and then get like one kid 100.
No, I think we should like just rapid fire every single kid who submitted one, so they all get 100.
You're gonna be mad, but they're not gonna hear it until Christmas in the class. I'm sure this.
I agree. It's too late. Like we're already on the Christmas episode. Mr. What was it?
Coucher.
Mr. Coucher. We're already on Christmas, man. That's the podcast. But hopefully
shout
we can
out
play some
Chalmont
class.
High. And thank you for listening. These kids, they had like some good questions, some better than others. Not gonna call names. But they had some good. But I love it. What I loved about all the questions is they like 90% of the students said, I can get 100 if I ask a question. So here's my question. I just love the transparency. Like nobody tried to lie and be like, I have a genuine question about personal finance. They were just like, and they probably did. There's like a mix of, but like they were just like, I can get 100 if you answer my question on the air. I'm like, wish I could help you. But let's try and like in the next few episodes, like after Christmas, maybe 2 episodes from now, we'll try and get to one of those, and maybe Mr. Coucher can move the 100 to next semester.
If that is even a 2-semester class, but I hope so. All right.
High school, I feel like generally is a year. You take it for the year, right?
Oh,
mine was.
Mine wasn't. Mine was like after the semester. It's like you're switching teachers, I think.
No, that's crazy. You went to regular high school?
Yeah, public school, baby.
Southeast Michigan. I mean, mine was magnet, but we took the class for the year.
Oh, you were magnet. Okay. Let's get back to it. We gotta get back to the show.
Okay. Anyway, so back to the show. We actually do have a question from Chris, and it's an audio message. So why don't you click on that and we'll listen together.
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Jen. Chris here. Big fan of yours. Been following for a really long time on Instagram and now on this podcast. Great job, guys. I'm interested in your thoughts on the relationship between antitrust and market concentration and its impacts on everyday consumer prices and household financial health in the U.S. One of the podcasts I also follow besides yours is one called Organized Money by Matt Stoller. It's something I follow, and I just think there's been a greater concentration, and I'm just curious if you see that, or is it normal what we're in now or not? And then my second question is, let's say per chance I saw you at the airport and was like, hey, I'm a really big fan. Would it be inappropriate for me to like pat your arm to get your attention? Anyways, that's rhetorical. I apologize for doing that, and I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
I'll take the second question. I know he's talking about me, so let me answer that.
I was just going to say, actually, I don't remember anyone ever like patting my arm. But hey, Chris, I am at that very weird level of fame where I get recognized probably once a week on average. Sometimes it's like a month that goes by.
Once a week?
Yeah, I think once a week is pretty fair
are you
estimate.
Famous?
I mean, in the like least possible way. But what I'll say is, when people meet me, sometimes they're like, I don't know. I get questions like that, like, is it okay if I say hi or something like that? And I promise you, it's way more of a big deal for me than it is for you. Like when I get recognized, I have to like ask myself that question. I'm like, am I famous? Is this like, is everyone looking at me right now? Like, do they want a picture? What an autograph?
Is there anybody nearby that's like, who is this guy?
Right, exactly. Like, is there a buzz star? Like, oh, he's here. He's at the airport. He's sitting in a middle seat in row 38, right by the bathroom. He must be a big deal.
Never know he was a millionaire.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I always say hi to me. I promise you it's a bigger deal. For me, it's like, that's what's running through my head. For everyone else, it's like, oh, yeah, I think I saw that guy when I was like scrolling through Instagram while I was pooping. And so that's not a
And
very
we're
big
back
deal.
to poop.
Okay,
All
exactly.
right.
Now that I know, like, high school kids watch us for class, like, credit, I'm going to have to bring the, I don't know, there's
Let me
either
tell you
needs to be
something.
more or
They're
less
doing a
poop
lot
talk.
worse than what you're doing. You don't have to
That's
worry
probably-
about those kids.
That's probably true. All right. So that addresses the airport thing. You're welcome to touch me anywhere between like neck and hips, we'll say.
What
We'll
the
just we'll take face
Are
and
you
groin off
sure?
the table. I don't know.
Somebody just comes and
that's
like rubs your belly.
yeah, a little belly rub. That's polite. Okay. So now for the much more difficult question to answer, antitrust market concentration. That was like by the time all the listeners have totally forgotten that question by now with all this airport talk and belly rub talk. But what he asked is, he used a couple phrases that are kind of complex. So antitrust, what does that mean? That means antitrust are rules that stop companies from becoming too powerful so they can't form monopolies, overcharge consumers, cheat, or block competition. Imagine the early days of capitalism. The one steel company basically put all the other steel companies out of business, and then they could inflate the prices, and then you couldn't build cars, you couldn't build homes, you couldn't build railroads, and they could mistreat their employees and jack up the price and everything. And the government's like, hey, actually, that's really bad for our economy, for our citizens. We shouldn't let companies just become these massive, massive companies and take over and bully out competition, yada, yada, yada. And so enter the antitrust laws. And you hear this every once in a while with like, is Google too big? Like, are they
Didn't
the
they
only
just
company that
beat
does
out a
search?
lawsuit?
I think they did. And, depending on the political wins and who's in office, like these things get harder, like tighter or less tight. And, I think generally conservatives, Republicans are more for limited regulation, and they say, hey, let companies do whatever they want, be as big as they want. And so the question was kind of like, and the other term he used, which is a little bit confusing, is market concentration. What that means is instead of lots and lots of little companies, few big companies, right? Market is the companies and concentration means few big companies. And so what he's saying is, instead of there being 15 different companies that sell you a cell phone and they all have to just try to make a better phone, there's just one, and it's Apple, and it's massive, and they can stomp on all their competitors and turn the text bubbles green and be all down dicks to everyone who doesn't have an iPhone. And so
it's kind of crazy. Anyway, I'll get into that another time.
I agree. I'll go on a green bubble rant all day long.
So wild. I didn't realize, I was like, there's an option for it to not be green? Like, I'm like, oh, that was like a choice.
Oh yeah, Apple could fix that in 5 seconds if they wanted to.
I
and
did
they're
not
like
realize that
literally.
till like a month ago. I was like,
Oh, my
that's
God.
crazy. The elitism of like. I
But
have
as
no
a
iPhone.
former high school girls volleyball coach, I had 28 girls on my team. 28 out of 28 had an iPhone, because if you were the green bubble, you were
You
like,
ruined it for everybody.
you ruin it for everybody, and you're ostracized. You're like a outcast from high school. How could
What are
how
we going to
could
use?
you?
WhatsApp? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, grainy pictures. And Apple could fix it. They could make everyone blue bubble if they wanted, with high quality everything.
Know that.
I know. So anyway, okay. So basically what Chris is asking is like, is this like limited government oversight on breaking up huge companies causing a huge market concentration, thus hurting individuals through higher prices and wrecked personal finances, whatever it is? And so let me tell you a quick story about, maybe I blew it, but here's the lead in. There's one company, a giant tech company, that alone makes up 8.44% of the S&P 500. That's massive, right? So there's 500 companies, so you'd expect every company on average to have like a fifth of 1%, right? To fit all 500 companies into this pie. But one company has almost 9%, and it's this giant tech company. It's like, it's a monolith, and it's too big to fail, and yada, yada, yada. That company's name is IBM, and the year is 1973. And so,
Like I'm watching like a history movie right now. The year is
the year, and they'll
1973.
get Ken Burns in here with a picture of people on a giant mainframe. So part of my answer is like, there have been giant tech companies before, and the rest of the S&P 500 back then, the top 10 was like oil companies and AT&T and, like kind of all the companies that aren't in the top 10 now. And had you invested in the S&P 500 index fund in 1973, would you have been ruined because of these like massive oil companies and massive tech companies that have gone too big to fail? No, you would have had an incredible returns over the following whatever that is 52 years since then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, the biggest company in the S&P 500 is. Do you have a guess at this, Jen?
Is it the Alphabet Company?
Oh, actually, that's not a bad guess. It's not, but no, it's not.
Okay.
Give me 3 more guesses.
Okay, is it Tesla?
No, that's a good guess. I think those are all top 5.
Okay, is it Meta?
Nope. Good guess though.
I get 2 more.
2 more. I feel like there's 2 more big ones you haven't said, so we'll see if you
really.
say
Wait.
Yeah.
People are screaming at their phones right now, like you idiot.
This is kind of a hard. This is kind of a hard one as far as the biggest one.
It's not Google. It's not Facebook, Meta. It's not. Is it? Do one of these people that I named own the other one of these other ones? No.
So Meta is 8. Google is technically 5th and 7th because they have 2 share classes, but if you add them up, they would be 3rd.
Somebody's freaking out right now, like threw their phone out their car window, and it's something that when you say it, I'm gonna be like, what the hell?
You'll know. We've said this word a lot on the podcast
today.
Mostly last episode that just aired. The
AI. It's an AI thing.
Yeah.
It's an AI thing. Who owns AI? It's OpenAI.
No, they're not even public. That was a bad guess.
They're not even public. Okay. There are dumb questions. Okay. I don't know. Just tell me.
NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the biggest.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And Apple's second and Microsoft's 3rd for the record.
Okay.
So, and NVIDIA, here's your next guess. So if IBM in 1973 was 8.44%, NVIDIA, this, AI is taking over the world, too big, like bubble. What percent of the S&P 500 do you think NVIDIA makes up?
Okay, so you said IBM was 8%?
Yeah, 8.4.
8.4? Okay, and NVIDIA has been crazy. Like they had like 600% crazy gain, whatever. So I'm going to say something bananas and say of the S&P, they make up 40%.
40? Okay, that'd be crazy. Because then, like Apple, everyone else has to get in the rest. But the correct answer is 7%.
Damn, it went down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so partially my point is, the crazy big companies are going to do what the crazy big companies are going to do, and we've seen things like this before. We haven't seen exactly this before, no, for sure. And when you add up like all NVIDIA is only a little bit bigger than the second biggest because Apple is 6.6%. The 2 Googles combined are about 6%. Amazon's 4%. So there's a lot of big companies, and that like is pretty similar to how it looked like in the early 70s.
Okay.
And so to one degree, this has happened before, and I think that just continuing to invest in index funds is the way. When you're voting, I think you should consider this stuff and say, hey, do I want there to be, better regulated markets or less regulated markets? And I think that impacts, because generally speaking, this market concentration and these limited antitrust laws potentially hurt consumers, right? For the girls on the volleyball team reason, now parents can't buy a $300 phone. They have to buy a $1,200 phone, or their kid is going to be made ostracized from their volleyball team, right? And so that's actively hurting consumers, right? And so and if the government and like the European Union, for example, like squashes stuff much more quickly. In fact, I think we have the EU to thank for USB-C on our iPhones. Apple refused to have like normal connections on their phones until the European Union said, stop that. You can't just push out competition. So they did it for the EU, and then they're like, all right, we'll just do it for America too, so we don't have to make 2 different phones or whatever. And so I do think that type of regulation can actually benefit consumers. So that said, I do think these things can hurt. But here is the real takeaway. When I get questions, there are so often people worrying about things like this list. This list is the things that people worry about when they're asking me questions. Things like market concentration, antitrust enforcement, quantitative easing, Federal Reserve rates, yield curve inversion, foreign exchange rates, shadow banking, M2 money supply growth. All these things that you hear these like super scary news headlines and doom and gloom about. But here's what people should be worrying about: making more money, spending less than you make, investing the difference. And so I just think that
3.
Oh yeah, I know it's not it's
breaking your own rule.
But,
I'm like, I've never seen that third finger. Whoa.
Well, the first two are like the making more and spending less are the first rule: live below your means and invest early and often.
Yeah, but it's just it hits different.
Yeah, okay. 3 rules I've already. The brand is destroyed, but but the point is, you can like worry about this like macroeconomic, and I kind of feel like it's like you're going for a run through the desert and you're like, are the tectonic plates shifting and should I be concerned about that? And the answer is like, dude, like worry about running, you know, like the plates may shift or they may not shift. And yeah, there might be an earthquake, but it's probably not going to, you know, open up and swallow you whole. And you're going to be in a, you know, sometimes I make up analogies totally on the fly. And
you could be in quicksand. That's
actually,
a good reference.
No, what's it called? Like a crevice or something when you fall and you like just like
a sinkhole?
No, it's like when the earth splits and then you just fall down.
I'm just know what that's called.
It's kind of like it's like a crevasse or something, right? Like you see it in icy areas. Okay, we need to not start an outdoorsy podcast because this is not going well.
It was never going to be that.
Right, but the point is, you know, you very rarely have the earth split open and fall into a crevasse, but you every single day should be worried about running faster and running further if that's your goal, right? And so don't worry about the tectonic plates shifting so much. You know, vote accordingly with what you know where your loyalties lie or whatever. But worry about, you know, your own race, and that's what advice I would give you, Chris. And thank you for touching me not in my bathing suit area at the airport.
Thanks for calling in, Chris, with your audio message. Appreciate you. Let's go into our next segment. Scroll Patrol.
Scroll Patrol.
Okay, once as you all know, Scroll Patrol is a video that Jeremy has never seen from the internet that I picked. He's going to watch it live. He's going to respond to it. So Jeremy, go ahead and give that a good old look.
If you stopped buying coffee out, you would be able to afford a home, and I'll prove it to you. If you spend $5 a day on coffee times 365 days in a year, you'd get $2,000 per year, roughly. The average home price in the United States is $360,000. A 20% down payment to avoid mortgage insurance is $72,000. So the time to save $72,000 is $72,000 divided by $2,000 a year, and you get, in the sense that
I was wondering if that was going to be a joke, and it was. I appreciate that. And so, you know,
I know we've answered the coffee question before, but I've never seen anybody do the math, and it was like clever. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. And the worst news is in 36 years, home's going to cost a lot more. So you know, you're probably not going to get there. The first book I ever read on personal finance was a book by Susie Orman, which was
shout out Susie Orman. My mom loves her.
Oh, really? Yeah, I feel like she was kind of like an OG financial influencer.
Yeah, she was you're the new Susie, actually.
Yeah, I'm the new Susie. That's how I describe myself. I'm like a young lesbian.
Is Susie Orman a lesbian?
I think so. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I thought that was like common knowledge.
Maybe she is. I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe the haircut threw me off. I don't know.
We're gonna get canceled today.
I know, fully canceled. She can do whatever she wants. That's great. So anyway, the first book I read was a Susie Orman book, and I feel like she kind of had this like "don't buy the coffee out" mentality, and I think that had like a lot of people really liked that message. Like, oh yeah, that's how I'm going to save. And then I feel like the winds of personal finance feelings blew the other way, and they're like, no, wait, that's like spend shaming, and it's a little tiny few bucks for a little bit of joy, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. And you know, I think both are kind of true. You know, $2,000 a year is nothing to sneeze at. His math wasn't totally fair because you wouldn't be saving that under a rock. You'd probably be investing it, and if you invested, you actually could cut down that 36 years. But yeah, that alone, your coffee ain't gonna buy a house, right? Like that ain't your problem. And I think when looking at how to buy a house first of all, it's very expensive. I'm sorry about that. We don't have the same low costs that, our boomer parents did. But
Uh-uh.
you can still buy a house today, but move the big needles first. So things like, what are you renting? Are you spending $3,000 a month on rent or $2,000 a month? If he redoes that math with $1,000 of savings by living in a place that's a little bit cheaper, suddenly, it's a realistic time frame. What car are you driving? I'm looking at a new car, a Rivian. I really want it. And I looked at the lease price and it was like something outrageous, like $1,700 a month. And I'm like, my God,
Oh my God.
man, do people pay $1,700 a month to drive a car? A lease? And then you give it away and your money's gone?
Bananas.
Yeah. And so, the average new car payment these days is like $750 a month. And so, but you can totally drive a used car where your total cost of ownership, including maintenance and depreciation, is like around $200 to $300 a month. And so if you can live somewhere cheaper, $500, you can rent or drive something cheaper, $500 right there, that's your $1,000. You can buy a house. And so, I think I really like that video. It was funny. It was well executed. I agree that a coffee, you can't just trade in your coffee for a house. That's not, houses are much more expensive than coffees. That's not how it works. But I think both things are a little bit true. Like the little things can add up too. In my own expenses, I was looking at my credit card bill, which was like an eye-watering amount of money. And we didn't really buy much that expensive, like things over $100. There weren't that many things,
Right.
but it was just like the $40. It's like the DoorDashes and the eating out and the Amazons and like all these little things totally add up. Like those are bigger than coffees for sure. But then you do a couple of those a day times 30 days, and you've got looking at like a $10,000 credit card bill, which is my life these days.
You sound excited about it. Really got you down, that credit card bill.
So yeah, I like that video. I give it an A because it's funny, but it is a little bit dismissive of the value of. Actually, I alter my score. I give it an A- because it's a little bit dismissive of the value of frugality. And I think that just to say, oh, coffee alone isn't going to buy you a house, therefore don't try at all. And he's making a joke. I'm not trying to like pick on him. It's like a funny video. I like the video. But I don't think, for you, listener, I don't think you should say, okay, since coffee can't buy me a house, therefore don't even try. I don't think that should be the message. Like, yeah, the coffees will add up, and as will the Amazons, as will the eatings out. But I would definitely focus on the big things first. Housing, transportation, job. If you can go switch jobs, get a 20% pay raise, drive a cheaper car, rent or own a cheaper house, those three things will easily make you a multimillionaire, even if you do it on a clever little yellow notepad on a TikTok, without having to be like dismissive about savings. And the little stuff adds up too. I like that video.
All right, cool. A-, not bad.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our last segment of the episode. Money. Jeremy had time today. Okay, so we're jumping out of the Jeremy Schneider multiverse. I'm going into a post that was submitted. People are starting to submit to us for more than just Can I Ask a Dumb One, which I love. They're like in my inbox doing Can I Ask a Dumb One. They're doing Explain It Like I'm 5. And now Jeremy had time today.
Nice.
So this is a post from Alex Hormozi. Had you heard of him before this?
Yes, I know. I know of Alex Hormozi well.
Oh, okay. So big in the finance world.
Do you know him?
I don't know him. We don't have crossover. What was our crossover? It was an NPR podcast. It was Wait, Don't Tell Me. That's our only crossover so far. So I don't know Alex, but this is a little bit of a lengthy post. So sit with me. I'm gonna talk for a minute. Go grab some eggnog. Alex wrote, I debated posting this because it can make you feel hopeless. Already very dramatic. But I think the truth is always best found out early. Many financial gurus talk about investing $100 a month, etc., to get to a point with $1 million when you retire. The reality of the math is, if inflation is 3% per year, that $1 million is not worth $1 million today, because compounding inflation is just as powerful as compounding returns. Said differently, $1 million in 60 years is only worth $167,000 of today's buying power with 3% inflation. And typically, with late-stage capitalism, rate of inflation increases, not decreases. So what does this mean in reality? You have to 6x your goal. Example, if you want to retire with $1 million and $40,000 per year passive, you actually want $6 million and $240,000 per year passive. If you want $4 million and $200,000 in passive income, you really need your goal to be $24 million and is that right? 24
That's what it says. I mean, he has all sorts of typos here, like either like 4 numbers between commas or 2 numbers between commas. But I think he means 24 million, which is 6 times 4, and 1.2 million.
Okay, in passive income.
Right.
Now let's say inflation is 2.3% rather than 3%, the historical average. Okay, you'll have overshot your goal by 50%. Money will only be a fourth as valuable rather than 1/6. Great, retire early. But the alternative is certainly worse. Undershoot and be a burden to the people you care about, hoping for social nets which may or may not exist. Then who knows? Regardless, I've never seen anyone talk. Oh, love this. I've never seen anyone talk about this, and maybe it's because it makes people feel hopeless. But I figure math is math, and you shouldn't be afraid to do it for yourself. Always better to overshoot and get there early than never arrive. This is so dramatic.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like I feel like he's one of these guys that some people just think is like the biggest guy, and then some people have never heard of.
I don't want to call you up, but Carl, who submitted this, he said, I normally appreciate Alex's advice, but this felt off. And that's why he submitted it and wanted you to respond.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so Alex Hormozi, I think, is like one of these hustle culture guys who just, talks about growing businesses, and a lot of it, like, he kind of bragged about his own wealth and yada, yada, yada.
It was giving Jim Bro when I scanned his page. I was like, why are you so buff?
I think that's how he got rich, from managing a bunch of gyms or something.
But then he says he has no members in his gym. So I was like, I don't understand. I could only stomach it for so long.
Yeah, let's not get into him. I'm gonna keep the rest of my commentary on this.
Okay.
And my answer to this is like, yeah, like no shit. Like inflation exists is the net of this. And to say that like, and his whole takeaway is, do exactly what all the influencers are saying. Just don't do $100 a month. If you want 6 times more, do $600 a month. And, every single time that I teach investing in personal finance, like one of the first lessons is inflation for this exact reason. If you're counting on, getting to $1 million and having it be 7 figures in 60 years and having that like be your savior, like, yeah, that's probably not going to be true. So, my answer to this is generally like, no shit. Of course, everything here is true. Of course, you want to like, end up with too much money rather than too little. Of course, you need to account for inflation. If you look historically at stock market gains, it's about 10% per year. Inflation historically is around 3% per year. So a inflation adjusted projection, which allows you to think about in terms of today's dollars, would be 7%. And if you want to be more conservative, 6%. And so you can go use an investment growth calculator. There's a brand new one, by the way, at hellonectarine.com, which allows you to put in your 401k and all the other sorts of cool stuff. And then it has inflation built right into that calculator. So it's he's like, I've never seen him talk about this. Like, yeah, we talk about this constantly, of course.
All the time. That's what I thought was so funny. Yeah. Like, I've never heard anyone talk about it like this before. Like, get out of here.
That inflation, like, impacts future growth. Like, yeah, literally, that's like, video 3 in the Personal Finance Club course. It is, like, not even exaggerating. It's the first chapter, video 3. But anyway, I'm fine with this. Like, I have really nothing, other than him just being so dramatic and self-important about the whole thing. I agree. And when you're projecting growth, account for inflation. That said, I think a lot of times him and everyone make this mistake of, okay, today on, Thursday, December 11th, today recording this, I'm going to go in and like do a little Excel calculation or a online investment growth calculation, and whatever number it says in 40 years, that's the number, that's my number. I'm going to hang my hat on that. I'm going to close my eyes and just run full steam ahead without thinking about it ever again. And if that number is wrong, then I'm going to die. And the reality is like, you're constantly readjusting. And so the goal here isn't to like have that number be right and be doing everything right in this exact moment. The goal is to make steps in the right direction. And so if you are swimming in debt and have never invested a penny, let's make a plan. Let's start, let's make a, 30-month plan to get out of debt and have your debt be 0. And then in 30 months, then we can start investing that $100 a month. Then a year from then, you can switch it to $200 a month. And then, now we're 4 years in the future or whatever it is, and you have no debt. You've got a pretty good investment started, and you're investing more and more each year. Like, you're on a great path. Even though that original projection didn't have you being a multimillionaire, the steps in the right direction are what really made the difference. And so I think a lot of times, feeling momentum, feeling movement, getting that encouragement is what actually matters, not today having that 40-year projection be 100% right based on what you're doing today. It's just about kind of encouraging yourself and feeling the momentum in the right direction so you keep making good steps along the way.
Wow, you're so gracious, because I was like, this guy seems whack. That was my thought.
I don't know. I mean, like, maybe I'm just reading it from a very left brain perspective, but like everything he said there was technically correct. It's like, yes,
Right.
don't count on 10%, account for inflation. I mean, there's some very dramatic numbers in there. You need to make $24 million to have 1.2 million with a typo in it because it's got too many zeros of in passive income. It's like, oh, okay. Like, but it's a little bit of a scare tactic just because, in 40 years, all the numbers are going to be bigger, but people are reading that 24 million and they're thinking $24 million in today's number. And, you don't need $24 million to be happy today. $24 million is outrageously rich. Like you can, if you had, $2 million today, you'd be in very, very good shape. Right. And so in 24 years, jobs are going to pay more. Everything's going to be more expensive. Like it's not going to look as crazy not in 24 years, but in the 40 years or whatever his projection was, that 24 million isn't going to be such a crazy number. It just looks crazy today because of compound growth.
All right. I like kind of looking at other people's little comments and threads for you to comment on. I might put some more in.
Oh, to the Jeremyverse. Who knew? Are there other social media accounts? I had no idea.
You're the only one.
I've just been writing in a Word document and saving it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Merry Christmas, y'all. I'm gonna plug myself. If you are listening to this on Christmas, go to Hallmark Plus. I've got a song in a movie, A Sweet Holiday Romance, SUITE. I don't know. It hasn't come out yet, so it'll be like way in the background. But anyway, go listen to it. It's called Christmas All Around. Booyah!
That's awesome. I'm always so impressed with your Hollywood success.
Hollywood, Hallmark, that are all filmed in Canada to save on budget. Hilarious. Anyway, that's all that we have for you today on the Personal Finance Club show. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
And don't forget the 2 rules of Personal Finance Club. Rule number 1, live below your means. And rule number 2, invest early and often.
The Personal Finance Club show is produced by Jeremy Schneider and Jen Mundia. Music by Esabalu and Homie. Send your questions to podcast@personalfinanceclub.com. The Personal Finance Club show is co-hosted by Jeremy Schneider, who is a co-owner of Nectarine, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The views expressed on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nectarine. Please refer to hellonectarine.com for all relevant disclosures. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as personalized investment advice or a solicitation to buy or sell any security. Listeners should consult their own financial, legal, or tax professionals for advice specific to their situation.